Petal Dance Venusaur, I would be taking this to the top lane because it is one of the best counters to the most annoying Pokemon, which is Clefable. There are two supporters I would recommend: Blissey with eggs and Power Swap Mr. Mime. This is going to be the complete guide for Venusaur, both builds, Petal Dance Venusaur and Solar Beam Venusaur, and depending on who you have as a laning partner. Now my emblems would be a fairly standard white and green, trying to get as much special attack in as possible. My battle item, I would probably opt, again, depends on your moveset, a full heal if you're running Petal Dance. And the item build if you're running Petal Dance, I would be going for a Slick Spoon, a Focus Band, and this third item is very optional. You could run a Muscle Band to try and get some more autos off. I personally like the Curse Incense because Clefable is quite a common Pokemon and you're not really worried about Clefable with the Petal Dance, and you're debuffing the healing with a lot of AoE damage, and as well as that, it does increase your special attack quite a lot. So I think it's a valuable item to increase your special attack, and it's just a great Pokemon and a great item choice to go into the most common and most annoying supporter in the meta, which is Clefable. If I was running a Venusaur with Solar Beam, I would definitely be running an eject button, and I would be running a Slick Spoon, I would be running a Muscle Band, and I would be running an Energy Amp. Those would be the three items that I use, and really I don't think that, well, not a Float Stone, an Energy Amp. And I don't think this build is really up for much negotiation. You probably could change the Muscle Band if you wish. However, I think the Jungle Clear with a Solar Beam Venusaur is incredibly valuable. Now with the Venusaur Solar Beam, this is a Pokemon you take it to the middle area. Whereas the other build, and this is the build I'm going to talk through, the item build I'm going to keep on here. This Venusaur, the Petal Dance Venusaur, I would be taking this to the top lane. Right? And I think this Pokemon has a lot of value in the top lane in the current meta because it is one of the best counters to the most annoying Pokemon, which is Clefable, the one directly under it. So let's talk about these skills, talk about these abilities, and get a good understanding of both builds with Venusaur. So first things first with Venusaur, the ability is quite straightforward. When you get low on health, you deal 30% increased damage. That is probably more advantageous on the Petal Dance build because you have got longer survivability. The first move that you get is Razor Leaf. Razor Leaf does a lot of ticks of damage there. It's medium at secure so long as you're stunning the enemy, right? And I'm gonna say medium at best. The second skill that you get is at level 3, and it's Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb might be the most pathetic move in the entire game. It is so weak, it does such a little amount of damage, and it has such a long cooldown. It is very bad. I would be doing Seed Bomb to just get additional damage on the farm. I would not be trying to use this move to secure anything. So this is the combo you want to use to secure in lane with Venusaur, right? You want to get it to about, I don't know, maybe 40% health, you and your lane partner. Then you launch off a Razor Leaf and follow up with a boosted immediately, so you can hold that B button. It does quite a large burst damage, the Razor Leaf followed up with the boosted, and if you and your lane partner time it well, you've actually got a half decent secure in lane as a Bulbasaur. So Giga Drain is a fairly simple move. It's got a conic area here, and you launch out and you do some healing based on all of the enemies that you hit. And after you use Giga Drain, you are taking less damage, right? So you've got this reduced damage input from the enemy team. Petal Dance will strongly increase your movement speed for quite some time, and you're doing a lot of ticks of damage to the enemy around there. Right, I believe you do 16 ticks of damage throughout this duration, and you've got some movement speed. It starts off at like an initial, I think it's 80 or 90% movement increase speed, and it slowly decays, right, every second or every third of a second, or I don't know exactly what it is, right? Petal Dance will reduce the cooldown of Giga Drain by 30% for each tick of damage that you hit on an enemy, not the farm, right? And if you're hitting multiple enemies at once, it will continue to reduce the cooldown. So you can go in with Petal Dance. Now, hang on, let me just show this as an example, right? Well, you can see it right here, right? I'm going to use Giga Drain here, and look at the cooldown of Giga Drain. I use it, and I go in with Petal Dance, and it's pretty much ready to go, right? I can keep using this Giga Drain on repeat. This is very, very good late game if you're pocketed by a supporter. There are two supporters I would recommend: Blissey with eggs and power swap Mr. Mime. The Blissey with eggs has the bliss assistance and the healing to keep you further alive. It helps you sustain and continue to damage the enemies in a fight. Mr. Mime's power swap will increase the damage that you do. It gives you little ticks of healing, but when the Mr. Mime uses Psychic, that will debuff the enemy's special defense, allowing you to do more damage, which in effect will give you extra healing from the Giga Drain. Okay? Now, with Petal Dance Venusaur, I suggest using this item full heal to because you're going to be quite close to the enemy. You're going to be getting in and amongst the action here. Right, when you go with Petal Dance, you're just holding the B button and then clicking Giga Drain every time it's on cooldown. Right, that's all you're doing. It's very spammy, but you need that full heal to make sure you're not getting picked off. Right. You know, you're not getting picked off with the Unite move, you're not getting CC chained, you can continue to do your basics and your Giga Drains, right? So that's why you need that full heal there, is Sludge Bomb. Now, Sludge Bomb is fairly straightforward. It has a large range there, and you put a bomb on the enemy, it does lots of ticks of damage, it slows their movement speed, and it decreases their special defense by 30%. So it is quite a large debuff to the enemy. If you follow that up with Solar Beam will launch off a big amount of damage. It does 10 ticks of damage. Solar Beam is one of the best moves in the game at shredding tanks, right? It does 5 of its ticks of damage based on the max percent HP of the enemy. So this is a very, very valuable skill. Now, when you're using Venusaur, level 13 is a huge power spike because if you're using Petal Dance, it increases the radius, and we know how the radius works. Pi r squared, the radius is a large scalar there, it's actually squared, so it's very, very nice. Solar Beam, you get reduced cooldown by 2 seconds. So it has a cooldown of, let's have a look, it's got a cooldown of 9 seconds. When you go up to level 13 here to get the plus version, and you take the blue buff, let me just take the blue buff real quick. You're going to see how quickly this cooldown comes on here, right? Okay, we use it, and it has a 5-second cooldown. By the time you cast it, it's almost at 4 seconds. Now, you know what amplifies this even more is when you combo it with the Unite move. You go in, Unite move, the Sludge Bomb Solar Beam, it's pretty much ready to go almost instantly, right? You can launch it off again, and then you can launch it off again. So if you've got the blue buff with the Unite move and level 13 late game Solar Beam, this Pokemon is doing a ridiculous and an insane amount of damage. The last thing we need to talk about with Venusaur is the Unite move. The Unite move is honestly one of the biggest assets to Venusaur. You can see when you launch it it's got a large radius, right? That's first things first. And it allows you to get good vision because you can move around with this and you can see how much of the map this actually opens up for you. So it helps give you vision, and then you let go of that move, it pops out you a big seed, and then it pops out into 4 little seeds, we call those secondary seeds, around it. It will slow the enemies down by 35%. You are unstoppable while you're hurling that big seed, so that's really, really good if you don't want to get picked off by any CC at that particular moment. And it gives you cooldown reduction, it gives you a shield, and it gives you movement speed. So it does a huge amount of damage initially, right? It's great at engaging in a fight. And then you follow up and you do damage on the enemy. So and it's really, really good because again, I'm going to go through this with Petal Dance, right? Let's go level 13 Petal Dance, Giga Drain and Petal Dance with the Unite move and Giga Drain Plus. Right, and we can go in here and we can see that the cooldown of Petal Dance is about 6 seconds if you do this, right? The cooldown of Giga Drain is about 5 seconds, right? If you use your Unite move and then you go in, right, look at Giga Drain. It's literally on, like you can just constantly be using these skills. It's constant, right? Petal Dance, the Giga Drain, you are just constantly launching these off. Like you've barely got enough time to get your autos in because your Petal Dance is constantly going off. And if you're hitting the enemies, you're going to be getting big amounts of Giga Drains there as well. So Venusaur is very, very potent late game. Its only weakness is making sure that you have got to keep it alive. So it needs a Mr. Mime or a Blissey. That's just in my opinion. And so in this matchup, this is our Petal Dance and Giga Drain build with the full heal. I am looking at the enemy team, thinking I don't want to get Unite moved by the Serena, so I will be trying to use my Unite move to my full heal for him. Also late game, I will probably use my full heal to make sure I don't get knocked up by the Blastoise Unite move. That's another one, again late game, that could be very annoying for me. So this Pokemon, you take it to the top lane. Remember, Seed Bomb is pathetic, so you pick Razor Leaf first, and your boosted auto does quite a large amount of damage. Use this in combination with your boosted auto to get some secure on the farm in lane, and we're going to see this happen here. Now, the reason I really like Venusaur in lane, top lane with a supporter, is that the current meta is very much in the favor of stackers with a Clefable in the top lane. Venusaur, in my opinion, with this build is near the best counter to this, right? So you can see you can secure farm from a safe distance. Like again, the Razor Leaf is pretty dodgy secure. The enemy team's trying to poke us out, but we've at least got the range to be able to secure farm, right? Like if they're trying to zone you, again, this is a game of solo queue, so obviously we're not versing, you know, the best players in the world or anything like that. But you know, if you've got the support, like I've got the Mr. Mime with an EXP share, he's got a Resonant Guard as well for me, which is awesome, and he's gone Psychic, right? So it's really, really nice. We're able to get level 5 by these first bees, which is cool. And you can get some pretty decent secure on the bees if you go in with that Razor Leaf and you boosted auto. Unfortunately, I saw the 3 of them there, and I was not going to risk my life for any of the bees there. So I quickly backed out, and I'm just going to try and follow up and get any damage on those bees, considering they went to our lane. But yeah, at this point, you don't die. You try not to feed the enemy any extra additional experience in lane. But in all honesty, this top lane, as tricky as it kind of is, it's gone pretty well. We're level 5.5, and our Mr. Mime is also level 5. And our bottom lane, if we pan down there, it's actually gone really well, right? We've got a jungling Dragapult who has done fantastic rotations. I've gotten a lot of value. There's a Mammoth one that's level 6, and he's bullying 2 level 4s down there. So fortunately, our team has definitely gotten a positive trade-off there, which is very, very good. Right, again, in lane, your role as your Ivysaur is to become a Venusaur, and this Pokemon evolves at level 7 now, so it's really, really nice. Because you get that evolution sooner, right? You're not going to get stuck on that evolution wall, and it can happen by the time the first objective is up with this Pokemon. So it's a really, really nice buff. Okay, you can tell the quality of the lobby is not too great here. We've gone to the middle at 740, and yeah, this middle farm's still up. So our jungler did get involved in a bit of a fight, but yeah, okay, and you can see I moved away from the farm. So I got pole and puffed by the Eldegoss, and I moved away from the farm to make sure when I got puffed up by that pole and puff, I wasn't going to be, you know, hitting the farm with that pole and puff to make sure he secured it, right? Because that was an important one for me. Now, when you get Petal Dance, you are set. You're cooking with gas, right? Because your sustain is great, especially if you're pocketed by a healer or something that enhances you. So in this case, a Power Swap Mr. Mime. It's really, really good, right? We're debuffing the special defense with the Psychic. I'm getting increased damage output with the Power Swap, and you can see how much damage we're doing to a Blastoise who has got a healing Eldegoss. It's going shields and heals. Right, so we're keeping you know, people up here. Normally you'd rotate, but they've still kept their tank and their healer top, and then another one of their tanks has come top. So there's no way I'm just going to give up this goal zone for free. The Petal Dance is really good at stopping spores as well, because it's got quite a large amount of AoE tick damage there. And yeah, we're just, honestly, at this point, it feels like we're just damage farming. They were getting low and they were quite overcommitted, so I popped my full heal to go in here, and I'm really just hoping to try and pick up some KOs. Unfortunately, they're just a little bit too thick, but they've eaten both their berries and they're still kind of low, so we're just trying to get as much damage off as we can, right? There's no berries there, but the Pikachu's come up, and yeah, I mean, look, we've kept 3 of them busy top. Our Dragapult's done a fantastic job in the bottom lane there. So, yeah, they got the objective, and yeah, they've done really well. And we see the Serena coming in. Again, you can get those Giga Drains off constantly, especially if you've got the Power Swap Mr. Mime. It's just a deadly combo, right? You can engage, you can do a lot of damage, and it allows your team to follow up and do some damage from a distance or do some damage from side on. So Venusaur, you're playing this Pokemon like a brawler, and it can rip decently well, but at this point I'm trying to pull the Regieleki in to get some enemies to come in. You can see I'm not trying to secure that objective there. I'm trying to pull the enemies in. At that point I actually used my full heal too late. The Serena had already got a hold of me there, and I'm just trying to get some healing on the objective. I'm trying to run away, stay safe from the enemy team, because you don't want to die. right? So the Giga Drain healing, it's a very good passive healing, along with any power swap, and you can see just dancing on the base there, trying to get some Giga Drains onto the farm. You can pretty much get back to full HP relatively quickly, right? So we're at the 5-minute mark here, and we have not left top lane. Now, normally this is not great practice, but there's been enemies in the top lane the entire time. So if they stay top, then you kind of have to match them. If we left and went 5 people bottom, and there's still 2 people top, we're letting them get a whole lot of farm and break our pad. So if we let the enemy team do that, we'd be behind on score, which is, you want to have a score lead going into the Rayquaza. So not only that, they would have extra experience. So yeah, I mean, look, we're just leaving it at that, I suppose. And again, we're not trying to overcommit here to try and get any scores. We're just, you know, playing from a safe-ish distance, trying to pull out some Unite moves from the enemy. And I see my opportunity to go in here. Their tank and their support is far away from the Pikachu there. We've taken quite a lot of Unite moves, and yeah, we're just trying to get out if we can here. Unfortunately, we get picked off by the Eldegoss and the Pikachu, so we go down there. Right, our Talonflame is trying to get some backups and taking enemy farm. So it's been a little bit of a weird game, this one, because our Talonflame's kind of just chilling. He's doing his own thing, and our Dragapult stayed alive, but he's done such a good job at staying alive. And our Mamoswine's providing vision. In the meantime, we've been able to respawn. We're back up into this top lane, and I can see that the enemies are quite low here. And yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, when's the right time to engage? I know they just started hitting there, and so they were hitting this objective. The objective does some damage over time, and we go in and we're actually able to clean up, and the Talonflame comes in with a fly and secures the objective, which is very, very nice. Right, Mr. Mime goes down. He's a healer, so we don't want to play too crazy without him, but we're going to get a nice overcap here. If this Reggie goes in, we get the 50 score in, which is great experience. And remember, level 13 endgame is what you're trying to do. Right, that's what you're trying to do. It's the most important thing with this character, because you get some cooldown reduction, you get increased radius with that Petal dance. So I'm on about half health here, and I'm just using this Giga Drain to heal up onto the bees. It's very, very good at healing on the bees. Our Talonflame scoring 50 in the bottom lane. Our team's taking bottom objective. I think it's a fairly decent trade-off to let their team just run and score top. Maybe not as much as they're scoring into our tier 2. I didn't realize that 4 of them would continue into our tier 2. At this stage in the game, that's honestly pretty risky for them, because there's a good chance they're going to get picked off here, right? So they have overcommitted to get a lot of score back there, and they have got the score lead. And Mr. Mime pops Unite move, but yeah, the enemies were just so over-engaged here that we're able to pretty much clean them up. Right, and you can have a look at the levels there, right? I was looking at level 13. Now I'm looking at level 14, right? Just by picking up a couple of these KOs there. And our Talonflame's doing some micro scores, so we're keeping it at a close battle here. Level 14 with Venusaur late game is just so much better than level 13. So if you can achieve it, you should be going for it. We're not going to be hitting level 15 here. And our positioning is trying to maintain top side. You've got the mobility to be able to run around. You've got the full heal. I'm kind of walking at my Mr. Mime going, hey, give me a power swipe. Walking around my Mr. Mime going, hey guys, give me a power swap. Let's see what we can do there. I've taken a bit of farm. Honestly, I don't know why I went and ran and got those Indeedis. That's honestly pretty poor play from me. I think in my head at the time I was trying to hit 15, but that's a really dumb play. In the meantime, a mini fight has broken out, and our Talonflame is giving us vision in the top lane. Our Mr. Mime recognizes that I am fairly fed, and I can see that their team, their Trevenant got caught on a bush. He's fairly overcommitted there. He uses his Unite move, but he's going to get picked up here, and you can see the power swap, Psychic CC, and debuffing is quite great. We're getting a lot of natural healing from this power swap, which is fantastic. And now we're taking the fight into their middle area. We go in very deep here, and I see that the Pikachu's fairly low, so I try and pick him off there with my Unite move. Our Mr. Mime uses his Unite move. Unfortunately, I get caught by the Blastoise, so he does a fantastic combo on me. But we've gotten some score in there, and our team is now in the lead with a minute to go. Right, their Serena comes off with the Unite move. Their team is looking back, but in the meantime, our team maintained vision on their whole team through there, and we had a Dragapult to rip. So we were fortunate enough to have a Dragapult that definitely knew what he was doing and understood his role well. And you can see in this game. This was a pure solo queue match. I was fortunate enough to be going to the top lane with a Mr. Mime who went Power Swap and Psychic. And you can see the damage taken, you've got to be taking a large chunk, but if you're playing this Pokemon correctly, you should be following up with a large amount of damage dealt as well. If you're running into tanks, you can see I'm versing a Blastoise and a Trevenant, and they have a healer. Your damage numbers are going to look impressive, but remember that the damage numbers are not reflective of how amazing you are at the game. It's reflective of the data that was present in that particular match. So double tank and a healer is going to probably mean that you're going to be getting larger damage numbers with a Pokemon like Venusaur. And make sure, as always, that those damage numbers translate into successful fights. That is very, very important.